The blade came out of nowhere. Lena only heard it at the last second, a thin scream of steel cutting air behind her right shoulder. Her body was already twisted the wrong way, sword high, balance broken on the cracked stone floor. There was no time to dodge, no space to turn. Someone slammed into her. The impact knocked the breath from her lungs. Sparks exploded in front of her eyes as metal crashed against metal. The sound echoed through the ancient hall like a bell struck too hard. Lena stumbled forward, barely staying on her feet. Her sword scraped stone as she caught herself. When she turned, heart hammering, she saw the man who had taken the blow meant for her. The assassin's blade was buried deep in his forearm. Blood ran fast and dark down his skin, dripping onto the floor between them. "Are you insane?" Lena shouted, her voice breaking with shock. The man didn't answer right away. He yanked the blade free with a grunt and kicked the attacker backward. The traitor crashed into a broken pillar, armor clattering. Before the man could follow up, the assassin vanished through a side archway, leaving only the echo of hurried footsteps. Silence fell hard. Dust drifted in the warm, golden light spilling through the high windows. Old banners stirred faintly above them, their faded symbols watching like ghosts. Lena stared at the man who had saved her. He was taller than she remembered, broader too. A dark tunic clung to his frame, already darkening further with blood. A shield was strapped to his back, scratched and worn from battles she had never seen. "You should not be here, Evan," she said, forcing her voice steady. Evan finally looked at her. His beard was shorter than before. His eyes, still that deep, stubborn brown, were colder, older. "And you shouldn't be surrounded by traitors," he replied. That word sent a chill through her chest. "Traitors." Lena glanced toward the arches, half expecting more blades to come flying from the shadows. The council hall had been cleared for a private negotiation. Guards dismissed. Doors sealed. It had felt wrong from the start, but she had ignored the unease. She always did when duty called. "How did you know?" she asked. Evan tore a strip from his sleeve and wrapped it tightly around his bleeding arm. His jaw tightened, but he did not cry out. "I didn't. I followed a rumor that the council was going to hand you over to the Southern Lords to stop the war." Lena laughed once, sharp and bitter. "They wouldn't dare." "They already tried," Evan said. "That blade was poisoned." Her stomach dropped. She looked at the blood on the floor, then at her own unmarked skin. If he had been a heartbeat slower. "You left," she said quietly. "After the border fires, after you swore you were done with palace lies." Evan met her gaze. "I was, until I heard your name." For a moment, neither of them moved. The space between them felt heavier than the stone walls. Too many unsaid things lived there. Old arguments. Old nights spent planning a future that never came. A distant horn sounded outside the hall. Lena stiffened. "They're calling the inner guard if they find you here." "They will call me a traitor too," Evan finished. "Wouldn't be the first time." Footsteps echoed somewhere far away. Not rushing, careful, hunting. Lena tightened her grip on her sword. Her blue hair stuck to her neck with sweat, her pulse roaring in her ears. "You should run." Evan stepped closer instead. "Not without you." Her breath caught. "This isn't about us." "It never stopped being," he said softly. Another shadow moved at the far archway. Then another, shapes where there should have been none. Lena raised her blade, heart burning with anger and fear. "If the council betrayed me, the kingdom is already bleeding." Evan drew his own sword with his good hand. Steel whispered free. "Then let's find out how deep the cut goes." The shadows stepped forward. And this time, Lena knew the blade would not be so easy to block. The first attacker broke from the shadows without warning. Lena reacted on instinct. Her sword met his mid-charge, steel ringing loud in the hall. The impact shuddered up her arms, but she held. The man wore council colors beneath a loose cloak. That alone made her chest ache with fury. "So it's true," she snapped, pushing him back. "You sold us." He didn't answer. He lunged again, wild and desperate like someone already dead. Evan moved beside her, not behind, beside. His injured arm trembled, but his stance was solid. shield now in his left hand, sword low and ready. Together they moved as if no years had passed, as if the knights' training in torchlit courtyards had never ended. Another traitor rushed them from the right. Evan caught the blow on his shield, the sound dull and brutal. Lena spun, green tunic flaring, and struck the man's leg. He screamed and fell. She didn't finish him. She couldn't, not yet. More footsteps echoed. "This was planned," Evan said between breaths. "They meant to kill you quietly, make it look like an accident." Lena's teeth clenched. The council swore loyalty on the old stones. "They swore to power," Evan replied. A blade slipped past Lena's guard. She twisted too late. Pain flared across her side as metal kissed skin. She gasped, stumbling back. Evan roared. He stepped in front of her without thinking. His shield took the next strike, then another. Then he drove forward, slamming the attacker into a pillar so hard the man crumpled. Lena pressed a hand to her side. Blood seeped between her fingers, warm and frightening. "You're hurt," Evan said, turning to her. "Still standing," she said, though her legs shook. The horn outside sounded again, closer now, louder. "We can't hold this hall," Lena said. "There's a passage behind the dais, old, sealed." Evan raised an eyebrow. "Sealed?" "Not to me." They backed toward the raised stone platform where the council seat stood empty and accusing. Another attacker appeared, then two more. Their eyes were hard, afraid. These were not soldiers. These were men who had chosen a side and could not turn back. Lena slammed her palm against a carved symbol beneath the central seat. Stone groaned. Dust rained down. The wall behind the dais split open just enough to reveal darkness beyond. "Go," she shouted. Evan grabbed her wrist and pulled her through as a blade scraped sparks off the stone where her head had been. The passage snapped shut behind them with a thunderous crack. Darkness swallowed them. Lena leaned against the wall, chest heaving. The air smelled old, cold, forgotten. Her wound burned now that the fight had paused. Evan tore another strip of cloth, this time from his own tunic, and knelt. "Let me see." "I don't need." "You do," he said firmly. She froze. The tone was familiar, protective, stubborn. She let him press the cloth to her side. His touch was careful, almost reverent. "I thought you hated me," she whispered. Evan didn't look up. "I hated leaving." Silence stretched, thick, honest. "You blocked that blade without thinking," Lena said. "Why?" He tied the cloth tight and finally met her eyes. "Because losing you would break something in me I can't afford to lose." Her throat tightened. A faint scraping sound echoed behind them. Stone on stone, someone trying to force the passage. "We can't stop," Evan said. "Where does this lead?" "The lower city," Lena replied. "If the guards there are loyal." "And if they are?" She swallowed. "Then we run." They moved through the narrow tunnel, torches flickering to life as Lena brushed old sigils along the walls. The path twisted downward, deeper than Evan expected. "Lena," he said quietly, "if the council has turned, you're not safe anywhere." "I know," she replied. "That's why I need you." The words surprised them both. The tunnel opened suddenly into a vast underground chamber. Ancient carvings lined the walls. At its center stood a single figure, cloaked and waiting. The stranger smiled when he saw them. "Princess," he said smoothly, "you came exactly as planned." Evan raised his sword. And Lena felt, deep in her bones, that the betrayal had only just begun. The cloaked figure didn't move, didn't blink. He just stood there, hands hidden beneath the folds of his robe, and waited. Lena's pulse pounded so loudly she thought he might hear it. Evan stepped forward, shielding her with the good arm. "Who are you?" Lena demanded, trying to keep her voice steady. "Why are you here?" The man's smile widened, unnerving and calm at the same time. "I am the one who ensures the kingdom does not stumble over its own ambition," he said. His voice was smooth, almost melodic. "And yet here you are, the princess who defies all plans." "Plans?" Evan's voice was low, dangerous. "You set this ambush." The man tilted his head. Ambush? No, just guidance. He gestured lightly toward the far end of the chamber. You will find the Council's treachery has roots far deeper than you imagine. Lena narrowed her eyes. Stop talking in riddles. The stranger's cloak shifted as he stepped aside, revealing a hidden staircase leading further down into darkness. Step forward, and you may see the truth for yourselves. Evan hesitated, and if it's a trap? The stranger's eyes glinted. Then trust will be your only weapon. Lena swallowed hard, glancing at Evan. He looked back, jaw set, teeth clenched. For a heartbeat, they were silent, partners in defiance, yet painfully aware that one wrong move could end everything. We have no choice, Lena said finally. Let's see the truth. The air grew colder as they descended the stairs. Flickering torchlight revealed walls covered in murals depicting battles long past. Heroes of old, their faces stern and proud, clashed with shadows of invaders who looked almost human but carried a twisted grace. Lena's fingers brushed the carvings. She shivered. Something about this place felt alive. At the bottom, they entered a vast underground chamber, wider than any hall above. Stone pillars carved with runes stretched toward a vaulted ceiling. In the center sat an enormous table, maps and scrolls scattered across it. Figures in dark cloaks moved silently around, whispering, pointing, plotting. Lena's stomach twisted. Evan gripped her arm. This is the real council, he murmured. Not the ones upstairs, these are the ones pulling the strings. Lena's blue hair fell over her face. How many are there? Too many, Evan said, and they all want you gone. Before they could react further, the cloaked stranger stepped forward again. Do not be afraid, not yet, but be vigilant. One wrong step and the kingdom dies with you. Lena glanced at Evan. We can't fight them all. No, Evan admitted, but we can survive and we can expose them. Suddenly, a figure detached from the shadows, a woman. Her armor gleamed faintly, silver with hints of green, blue hair falling over her shoulders. Lena froze. I didn't expect to see you here, the woman said softly, but then her eyes hardened. And yet here you are blocking what you cannot dodge. Lena's hand instinctively went to her sword. Who? The woman lunged, fast, beautiful, deadly. Evan reacted before Lena could move. He slammed his shield into the strike, absorbing the blow meant for her. Sparks flew. Metal rang against metal, echoing like the first day in the council hall. Evan, Lena yelled, her heart seizing. The woman stepped back, circling. Her eyes were fierce, yet there was hesitation, something like recognition buried beneath the anger. She's skilled, Evan muttered, breath ragged. Too skilled. Lena realized with a shock, this wasn't just any council assassin. This was personal. Someone had trained her, taught her, and now turned that knowledge against her. The chamber seemed to close in. Torches flickered shadows across the carved pillars. Whispers swirled like ghosts. Lena's wound throbbed, fear and fury battling inside her. Stay close, Evan said, voice tense. I won't let her take you. Lena nodded, gripping her sword tightly. Her blue hair plastered to her forehead with sweat. She could feel his determination, strong as steel, and it anchored her. The woman struck again. Evan blocked. Lena lunged. The three of them moved like a deadly dance, echoing the tension, betrayal, and unspoken history tangled between them. And in that instant, Lena realized something terrifying. The blade that could not be dodged might not even be the one they had to fear. The shadows shifted. A new presence entered the chamber. And then the stranger whispered, almost too softly to hear, the real game begins now. Lena's heart sank. The danger wasn't over, it had only just begun. The stranger's whisper lingered in the chamber like smoke. Lena's heart hammered against her ribs. The woman with blue hair, her eyes sharp, body taut with deadly precision, stepped back, circling, evaluating. Evan stayed between them, shield up, every muscle coiled like a spring. You don't understand, Lena said, trying to catch her breath. This isn't just about me, it's the kingdom, everyone's lives. The blue-haired warrior's gaze flickered for a brief second, hesitation cracking her otherwise perfect composure. I understand perfectly, she said coldly. I was told to eliminate the threat. That threat, her eyes met Lena's, is you. Evan growled low in his throat. "You're making a mistake. She's not your enemy." The woman laughed, a sound sharp as a blade slicing the air. "You don't know what I've lost," she charged again, faster than before. Lena barely had time to react as Evan intercepted, the clang of their swords echoing like thunder. Lena's wound burned with every movement. She fought to steady herself, forcing her pulse down. Every instinct screamed, "Don't let them separate you." She lunged forward, driving her sword at the blue-haired woman, but Evan's shield clanged against hers, throwing them both off balance. A sudden rumble shook the chamber. Dust fell from the vaulted ceiling, and the torch flames flickered violently. Lena stumbled, gripping her sword tighter. "What now?" she hissed. "Trap," Evan muttered, scanning the chamber. "They've sealed the exits." The stranger stepped forward again, his calmness infuriating. "Ah, but you have allies within the shadows." From the edges of the chamber, cloaked figures emerged, silent and purposeful. Not all were hostile. Some moved to flank, others hung back, watching. Lena realized they had walked into a labyrinth of loyalties she didn't yet understand. The blue-haired woman paused mid-step. "You knew," she said bitterly, voice low. "All along, you brought him here knowing," her eyes narrowed at Evan. "You always protect her." Evan's jaw tightened. "Because she's worth protecting, because she's more than a pawn in your games." Lena's chest tightened as a wave of emotion hit her, fear, anger, and something else. Relief, comfort. In a world where traitors hid behind every shadow, here was someone who would risk everything for her. The blue-haired woman lunged again, but this time Evan was ready. He blocked her attack, then swung his sword to force her back. Lena joined the assault, moving in tandem with him. Every strike, every parry was a statement. They would not fall, not today. Then something unexpected happened. The blue-haired woman hesitated, her sword midair. Her eyes softened, not in weakness, but in recognition. "Lena," she said, almost a whisper. I can't." The words cut through the tension like sunlight through fog. Lena froze, sword mid-swing. Evan's eyes flicked between them, confusion and caution battling in his expression. The woman's sword dropped. She stepped back, chest heaving. I was told you betrayed us all." "You were lied to," Lena said, voice trembling, eyes locked on hers. "They sent you here to kill me because they wanted the kingdom divided." The woman's hands shook slightly. I believed them." Evan lowered his shield just a fraction. "Then join us. If you want the truth, now is the time to choose." For a long, tense moment, the chamber was silent. Even the shadows seemed to hold their breath. Then slowly the woman extended her hand toward Lena. Her sword clattered to the floor. "I don't know who I can trust anymore," she admitted. "But I trust you, princess." Relief crashed through Lena, sudden and overwhelming. Her blue hair fell into her face as she grasped the woman's hand. For the first time since the council's betrayal began, she felt not alone. The stranger's eyes narrowed. "Interesting," he murmured, stepping back. "Alliances shift faster than steel." Lena glanced at Evan. His eyes softened as he saw the new ally standing beside them. Together, the three of them turned toward the chamber's center, ready to confront the deeper threat. A soft clicking echoed from the far side. Lena froze. "It's not over," Evan warned, voice low. The walls trembled again, dust falling like rain. And then from the shadows, a figure emerged. A familiar figure, smiling coldly, stepping out from the darkness of the underground council's chamber. "You thought you could hide from me?" the figure said. "The game is only beginning." Lena tightened her grip on her sword, heart racing. Breath shallow, every instinct screamed danger. And yet, for the first time in hours, she felt a spark of hope. They were together, they were ready. But the unknown figure, that was a threat unlike any they had faced before. The chamber seemed to grow darker and the stakes, higher than ever. The figure stepped fully into the torchlight and Lena's stomach sank. The face was familiar, too familiar. Cold eyes, a cruel smile, and the unmistakable insignia of the council pinned to his chest. It was Lord Kale, the same man who had signed the treaties she had once trusted, now standing as the architect of her near death. "You should have stayed hidden," Kale said smoothly, "but I admire your persistence." Evan's shield rose automatically. "You're finished, Kale. Your schemes stop here." Kale chuckled. "Finished? No, I am just beginning. The council sent me to ensure the kingdom bends to order, and if you die in the process—" His eyes flicked to Lena. "Then so be it." Lena's grip tightened on her sword, blue hair plastered to her sweat-soaked face. Her wound throbbed, but adrenaline drowned the pain. "We won't let you do this," she said, voice firm. "Not to the kingdom, not to us." Kale smirked and drew a thin, gleaming dagger. He moved with unnatural speed, darting toward Lena. Evan raised his shield, meeting the strike head-on. Sparks flew as steel collided. The blue-haired woman, whose name Lena now knew was Sylvie, slid into position beside her. Twin swords gleamed in her hands. "We fight together," Sylvie said quietly. Lena nodded, grateful beyond words. Kale attacked again, striking at Evan with precise, lethal intent. The older warrior blocked, but the dagger cut shallow lines across his forearm. Lena struck, swinging at Kale, but he twisted aside, agile and infuriatingly skilled. Every attack they launched seemed anticipated, every block met with counterpressure. "You think you can win," Kale said, grinning. "I've anticipated every move." Lena's frustration boiled over. "You underestimate us," she shouted. "You think fear and treachery make you strong? You're wrong." Sylvie lunged, and Kale's attention snapped to her. He parried, but Lena noticed his distraction, the briefest flicker of doubt. That was all they needed. Evan stepped in, swinging his shield with perfect timing, knocking Kale backward. The sound of crumbling stone echoed through the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling as a section of the far wall shifted, revealing a hidden alcove. Lena's eyes widened. "The tunnels!" she shouted. "We can use them." Kale's eyes narrowed, realizing their plan. "You'll pay for every step," he hissed. Evan grabbed Lena's arm. "Go, I'll hold him." "No," Lena said sharply. "We survive together or we fail together. We're not leaving anyone behind." Sylvie stepped closer, her blades glinting. "He's faster than us, but not unbeatable," she said. "We need strategy, not blind force." Lena glanced around. Torches flickered against the carved pillars, shadows twisting. They needed a plan fast. Kale was relentless. Every strike pushed them closer to exhaustion, every step dangerous. Then Lena noticed it, an old mechanism in the stone floor, almost invisible. A lever disguised as part of the mural. She jabbed at it with her sword. The ground trembled. A hidden grate opened beneath Kale's feet. Kale stumbled, surprised. "What?" Evan seized the moment, shield slamming into him, forcing him toward the grate. Sylvie moved like water, pushing and guiding, keeping Kale off balance. Lena lunged one final time, forcing him down. He tumbled into the darkness below with a scream that echoed off the walls. Silence followed, heavy, suffocating, yet sweet. Dust floated in the torchlight, settling on the floor. Lena's chest heaved. Blood from her wound stained her tunic, but she barely felt it. She had survived. They had survived. Evan lowered his shield and stepped to her side. "Are you all right?" he asked, voice soft but laced with tension. I think so," Lena said, shaking slightly. Her blue hair fell over her shoulders. She looked at Sylvie, who gave her a faint, tired smile. "And you?" Sylvie nodded. "We're alive, that's what matters." For a moment, the three of them stood in the chamber, breathing heavily, hearts racing, eyes locked on the dark grate where Kale had disappeared. The danger wasn't over. There were still traitors in the kingdom, still shadows moving in silence. But they had won this battle. Lena's hand brushed against Evan. The touch was fleeting, yet it carried everything unsaid. The fear, the relief, the unspoken bond forged in fire and betrayal. "Together," Evan said simply. Lena nodded, "Together." Then a soft, metallic click echoed from somewhere deep in the chamber. The sound was subtle, almost dismissible, but Lena froze. Evan's eyes narrowed. "Not done," he muttered. The shadows shifted again, and from the far corner of the chamber, a single figure emerged, cloaked in black, silent, deliberate. Lena's heart skipped a beat. And she knew this battle was far from over. The real war was only beginning. The figure in black moved like a shadow sliding across stone. Lena's sword tightened in her grip. Every muscle screamed for action, but something in the figure's stance made her pause, calm, deliberate, almost untouchable. "Who's there?" Evan demanded, voice low and steady, shield raised. The figure tilted their head, stepping into the torchlight. Lena's eyes widened. It was a man, tall, hooded, but with unmistakable markings etched into his armor, the same symbol she had seen on the Council's secret seal. This was no ordinary enforcer. This was the master executor, the one whispered about in forbidden stories told in hushed tones. "You've survived long enough," the man said, voice smooth, chillingly calm. "But survival won't protect you from the consequences." Lena's pulse raced. "We've faced traitors before," she said. "We can face you too." The man smiled faintly. "You've grown bold, princess, too bold." Without another word, he lunged, faster than thought. Steel flashed in his hand, a curved blade aimed at Evan. Evan blocked, but the strike forced him backward, scraping the stone floor. Sparks flew. Lena lunged, swinging her sword, but the man moved like water, slipping past her strike with inhuman speed. "Keep moving," Evan shouted. "Don't let him isolate us." Sylvie darted forward, twin blades raised. She attacked from the left, a whirlwind of precise strikes, but he deflected each one with terrifying skill. He was testing them, gauging their movements, learning their weaknesses. Lena realized with a jolt he was planning the kill before even taking the first step. The chamber seemed to shrink around them. Every corner hid danger. Every shadow whispered threats. Lena pressed her side wound, fighting the sting, forcing herself to stay focused. Then a thought struck her. He's fast, yes, but he isn't everywhere at once. "Evan, Sylvie, split," Lena shouted. They obeyed instantly, moving in opposite directions, forcing the executor to choose. His attention flicked between them, calculating. That's when Lena saw her chance. The murals on the walls, they weren't just decorative. They were layered, carvings hiding mechanisms beneath the stone. Lena sprinted toward one of the pillars, pressing her palm against a hidden groove. Stone ground and shifted under her touch. A panel slid open, revealing a small, narrow passage. The executor's eyes snapped to her. He lunged, but Evan and Sylvie intercepted again, forcing him to block, giving Lena the moment she needed. She slipped into the passage, heart hammering. Inside, the air was cold and musty. Darkness swallowed her, broken only by the faint light of the torches behind. She pressed on, twisting deeper into the tunnels. She could hear Evan and Sylvie behind her, voices shouting, the clash of steel echoing faintly. After a few steps, she came to a small chamber lit by an eerie green glow. Ancient runes covered the walls. In the center rested a pedestal, a small, ornate chest sealed with a lock carved from silver. Lena approached cautiously. Something about the chest felt alive. She reached out. The instant her fingers brushed the lock, a shock ran up her arm. Visions flashed before her eyes, images of the kingdom, the council's secret plots, betrayals stretching back decades. She stumbled back, gasping. Evan appeared at the entrance, followed by Sylvie. "Lena, what did you find?" "This chest," she said, voice trembling. It holds everything, evidence of their plots, names, plans, proof." Sylvie's eyes widened. "If that falls into the right hands." "It could save the kingdom," Lena said, determination hardening her voice. "Or destroy it if Kale or the executor get it." A shadow passed across the entrance. Lena's blood ran cold. The executor had followed, again. Evan stepped in front of her, sword raised. "Not this time." The man paused, tilting his head. "You are persistent," he said, "but persistence cannot save you from the truth." Lena swallowed hard. "Then we'll face the truth together." The executor lunged, Evan blocked, Sylvie flanked. Sparks flew, dust swirled, and the air cracked with tension. Lena gripped the chest tightly, knowing that whatever happened next, the balance of the kingdom and their lives depended on their unity, courage, and a single, desperate hope. A distant rumble shook the tunnels. Lena's heart sank. Something massive was approaching, something beyond the executor, beyond the council. And in that moment, she realized the danger wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was war, hidden in shadows, racing toward them faster than they could prepare. "Hold fast," Evan shouted, voice echoing through the chamber. Lena nodded. Steel in hand, wound burning, heart pounding, she prepared for what was coming, the fight that could decide everything. The shadows pressed closer, and the executor smiled, knowing the real battle was about to begin. The rumble grew louder, shaking the stone walls around them. Lena's breath came in sharp bursts. Her wound throbbed, but fear was drowned by determination. She gripped the silver chest tightly, the runes on its surface glowing faintly, almost as if the chest knew its importance. "Stay close," Evan barked, raising his shield. Sylvie moved to his side, blades flashing as the executor circled them, silent and lethal. Suddenly the ground beneath their feet cracked. Dust fell in clouds and stones tumbled from the ceiling. A hidden passage collapsed somewhere deeper in the tunnels. The rumble wasn't just noise, it was a warning. Something massive, something alive was moving closer. Lena's heart sank. "The ancient guardians," she whispered. Legends said the tunnels beneath the palace were protected by constructs built centuries ago to guard secrets. She hadn't believed they were real until now. The executor's eyes gleamed in the torchlight. "So you know, good, it makes this more interesting." He lunged. Steel met steel in a ringing clash that echoed through the chamber. Evan grunted, blocking, as Sylvie struck from the side. Lena twisted, pressing her wound and searching for another route. She spotted a narrow fissure at the far side of the chamber. With a glance at Evan and Sylvie, she knew it was their only chance. "Now," she shouted. They broke formation, forcing the executor to split his attention. Sparks flew as his blade met theirs again and again, but Lena pressed forward, chest tight, legs burning. They reached the fissure and slipped inside, tumbling into a narrow, descending tunnel. The air grew colder, damp, and heavy with the scent of earth and stone. Lena's chest heaved, pain from her wound forgotten in the rush of survival. The silver chest glimmered faintly in her arms like a beacon. Behind them, the executor's footsteps echoed. But then an unnatural roar filled the tunnel. Lena froze, Evan and Sylvie froze, the walls vibrated. "It's coming," Sylvie whispered, eyes wide. A massive shadow surged from the darkness ahead. Lena's heart jumped into her throat. The guardian constructs, giant, stone figures with glowing eyes, emerged, their steps shaking the very ground. Ancient magic crackled from them, an unseen force pressing against the trio. Evan raised his shield instinctively. "Lena, the chest, keep it safe." Lena nodded, stepping forward despite the fear that clawed at her chest. She had trained for battles, faced assassins, and survived betrayal. But this was beyond anything. These were not enemies that could be reasoned with. They were protectors, programmed to strike at anyone threatening the secrets of the past. The constructs moved in unison, massive fists swinging with deadly precision. Evan blocked one strike with his shield. Sylvie darted between the legs of another, striking at the glowing runes that seemed to power them. Lena held the chest close, feeling it pulse under her arms, almost as if it understood the danger. "Together," Evan shouted. They coordinated like never before. Lena's voice guided Sylvie and Evan through the chaos, calling out openings and weaknesses. Every strike they made was timed perfectly, every movement in sync. Slowly, inch by inch, they forced the constructs back. One massive stone guardian fell after a precise strike to its chest rune. Another staggered. Lena realized the chest wasn't just a treasure, it was a key. The runes on the chest pulsed brighter with each guardian they disabled. The executor appeared behind them, watching with a faint smile. "Impressive," he said, "but you cannot stop what is already in motion." Lena spun, swinging the chest forward like a battering ram, knocking him off balance. He stumbled, surprise flickering in his eyes. Evan struck immediately, shield smashing against him, forcing him to retreat. The last guardian loomed above them, colossal, unstoppable. Lena's legs shook, exhaustion threatening to take her, but she stepped forward, chest heaving. She whispered a promise, to the kingdom, to Evan, to Sylvie, to herself, that they would survive, that they would win. The chest pulsed violently. Lena slammed it into the guardian's chest. Light erupted, filling the tunnel, blinding and brilliant. The stone beast roared, shaking the walls, then crumbled into dust. Silence followed, heavy, almost sacred. Lena fell to her knees, exhausted, trembling but alive. Evan knelt beside her, pressing a hand to her shoulder. Sylvie dropped her blades, breathing hard but steady. They had survived, together, against betrayal, against killers, against ancient forces. Lena opened her eyes. The chest glimmered faintly, untouched. She looked at Evan, saw the concern and pride in his eyes. She touched his arm, fingers lingering. "We made it." Evan smiled, a rare, genuine smile. "Yes," he said softly, "and we'll face whatever comes next, together." From the darkness beyond the tunnel, a faint, sinister laugh echoed. The executor had retreated, but not vanished. Lena's eyes hardened. "This isn't over," she said. "No," Evan agreed, "but we've won today, that's what matters." Sylvie nodded, placing a hand on Lena's shoulder. "And now, the kingdom can be saved." Lena stood, chest burning, heart racing. She looked at the silver chest, then at her allies. For the first time in a long while, she felt something she thought lost forever: hope. And as the torchlight flickered across the ancient walls, Lena knew this was more than survival. It was a new beginning. The kingdom would remember this day. They had fought, they had endured, and they had triumphed. The shadows of betrayal still lingered, but together they were unstoppable.